But it's also a very structured element, the circus, like a wheel, and it's very reasonable. And on the roof is, as you can see, is with photovoltaic panels. The idea was the 10% of the, or 11% of the all energy utilized in the building is generated there. And I think it's functioning quite well that way. You can see the model here, the first models and try. I wanted the students of different faculties to be very much together with each other. It's very awkward that you have one faculty, they don't meet with each other. So we created elements in each of the faculty. Let's say in the fashion design, there's an auditorium where the students from architecture can come in and be part of their classes. And similarly, fine arts, which was the first one built, has a foundry for sculpture and art. Architectural students can go in there and maybe experiment. Also, Film Institute. So I think the whole idea was to merge all of them together. And as you can see, the landscape is still growing. It will take maybe 4 or 5 years. Be perhaps a posthumous word, but all the same, it's very interesting that the functioning, the way it is functioning is that the students are merging with each other. In fact, I was told for the first time some students have wanted from the fine arts to go to Film Institute. Okay, we would rather be students of that. So I think they did not have a system for that. Now, the buildings use red sandstone and beige sandstone. And the beige sandstone, I created the building which would be common for all the students, and the red one would be different faculties. I think this is the plan. Very quickly, what we call the common activity areas, or where all the different disciplines can join together. So I think that's a very important element. And the other thing was, there is a peripheral road all around. All the faculties can have access directly, but the central spaces within the building are all pedestrianized spaces. So you can move around, go around, and be part of it. There's also an amphitheater, auditorium, and within it is a central green foyer for sitting downs, etc. Now, this was a shot taken from the top during the construction. You can see, from me, architecture, I'm always very much dependent on structures. The structure is a very important element. So you can see the two, let's say, amphitheater as well as the structure of it, and built around it, and the steps going up to another amphitheater on the roof. These are some of the spaces within the buildings. Sunken courtyard for seminars and meeting. Let's just show this from outside, where some of the trees which were already there, we managed to build around them. And the photovoltaic elements become a very important part of the design of this faculty. I don't know if any one of you have been to Iran, but Yazd, I don't know if you have studied it. It's a wonderful historic city where I had gone, and it had the sort of air movement, what they call shafts of air moving to naturally cool the air. So I utilized part of that. It didn't function very well in Rohtak where it was built, but all the same, these elements of the roof, so it ties up the entire structural system, but also you can see the kind of element of spaces. I'm just quickly show this is a view from the library towards the entire complex. How sandstone is utilized as a very important element of design. I have often used sandstone, particularly where the buildings are air conditioning, as a stone element which is on the surface of either brick or sometimes for air conditioning, it provides another layer. It was very difficult for me coming from a background where you wanted to show the purity of the structure, if it was concrete or brick, to clad them with sandstone. But I found that for air conditioned building, a very important element. Now here's some of these sections, etc. I was trying to tell your director you can have from within your university some relationship with this school of architecture there. That'd be nice. This is small amphitheater. It's a basket weave, which is an inspiration for it. You can see. This is sunken courtyard. This is the foyer of the fashion design. You can see the kind of spaces. And the university is not 100% functional as yours probably, but it takes some time. And the quality of life, as you can see within the buildings. I think as you grow older as an architect, I think the quality of light in buildings become a very important element, because light is the most difficult thing to visualize. Other things you can visualize as you grow up, you see, you experience, you see other buildings, but what happens with the light on materials, I think, because that's a very subtle thing, and I think that's very important as you grow along. So I was able to experiment with light and spaces very much in this particular project. You can see some of the amphitheater in the courtyards of the Fine Arts Institute, close-up of the, let's say, the slanting circle. Now, slanting circle is also done because the 22 degrees has the maximum sun, let's say, absorbed and to convert it into energy. It's quite a problem how to use that. And now this is the interior of the library from inside. I think we've gone very quickly. I don't know how to handle this, but you're seeing something totally different now. This is it's called Jang-e-Azadi, if you know in Urdu and Punjabi, that struggle for freedom. So this is just under construction, partly built. Actually, it's been inaugurated for freedom struggle. Punjab was the last province which the British took in 1840 from Ranjit Singh, but the Punjab was never under them in a way, because there was always a war going on between the British and Punjabi generals, this and that. More than 10,000 people died during these several wars, several years, and very little is known about it. As it said, the history is written by the victors, so the British never projected this part of it. Also, the maximum number of people in Kale Pani, you know, that place where they interned the word, I was told was from Punjab, because so this is actually a monument, or almost designed like a Tirth Sthan, and I was very concerned that the average peasant and come and visit them like they do the temples, etc. Because if you've seen Amritsar, it's very important that they all go to, there are 3 to 4 lakh people on a particular day. So this is the kind of space. There is a minar, first of all, then there is an amphitheater, then there is a martyrs memorial. There are many elements. There is offices, research centers for history, and the battleground where these events occurred. So I'll just very quickly go through that. As you can imagine, this is what I was calling the epic scale. It's series of building. Now, to my mind, I posed a problem that they should all be part of the same family but not the same. This is very important. And I think if you go through it from one end to the other, the entrance gate, which is called a Deori, entrance is always a very important part of all great Indian urban design, whether it is the temples or a mosque or other places. As you enter, then you begin to change, your mind changes as you walk through to other spaces. So this is the sort of plan of it. As you can see, the entrance gate, you come to the Minar. Now Minar has, I was a bit worried about when they said, oh, you have to have a Minar, Mr. Rewal, in your building. And I said, Minar is not very much a part of modern architecture. It's a kind of considered a phallic symbol. It's, that's how I studied it in Europe. And they said, no, Minar is a symbol of victory. So Mr. Badar, who was the chief minister, insisted, and he said also, we would like to have marble. I said, marble? I've only done sandstone buildings. I'm a bit worried about using marble, how marble, what it denotes or not, etc. He said, no, marble is certain kind of sacred purity and white color, and you have to. So I began to think about using marble for the first time in my life, and how to use marble. And also I started devising a structure in my mind which are petals, because I think as a homage, the petal, the patte, that and a flower, that should be the element. I don't know whether this symbolism is read by everybody or not, but by visitors, but you can see this is the kind of thing eventually what it is working out with red sandstone and sort of what you see, the four petals which support the roof structure around it. I mean, the spaces, I won't go into it, but you can see the section from entrance going to the memorial. And memorial, the only memorial I could think about to start with was, of course, Santi Stupa. It is the genesis. That's why I'm very happy to come back here yesterday evening to see it, because that is where in a memorial you keep the relics of a person. And the Islamic period, our Humayun tomb, Tajman, etc., are memorials to their queens or themselves, etc. So, I mean, they're set in a garden. So that's a very, and also there's an entrance gate you pass through. There is a landscape area. So I thought the memorial for these valiant, brave persons who gave their life meant much more to me. And also the only one I could imagine from the Europe was the memorial I have seen in Rome, the Pantheon. It's the greatest structure if you ever go to Rome. So I've actually, during the construction, I went, just before it, I went once again to see the Pantheon. And so the proportion of the main memorial, 110 feet, the height, etc. I was slightly influenced by it, but I had a gallery going around it in a way. You can see the concept of it with the entrance, with the minar, then finally the memorial, and the spaces within it, around it. These are the details now, the materials. Sandstone, beige color, light color sandstone with marble. Now, this is a doubly curved structure of concrete in both ways. So it's very reasonably priced to visit, and also fairly quick. It's just pouring concrete. So I had to devise means how to attach marble and sandstone to it. So you see the veins of the structure in the pink sandstone, and that's a very important element of the design, almost like a leaf. Now this is the entrance gate, as you see, and now again you will see how it's in the Mughal monuments. As you enter, you see final view of your monument. So I think this is an idea it's almost stole from there, if you like. But I think this is the kind of thing which I felt an average person would immediately connect with it. Like in the Gopuram in the temples, as you enter, that's where the main minar is, and then that's the gateway, and then you have a progression of spaces. So this is seen from inside the entrance gate. This is almost near the first inauguration of the project. You can see the entrance gate roof supported from inside by these 4 petals. As far as I know, this is the first time this kind of structure has been done. So there's a concrete petals, supported ring beam on which the steel structure is supported. You can see the amphitheater as you enter the second phase. The elements of design, the minar in it. In the end, I think minar has turned out to be, from the way the people come to it, because it has, this is the interior of it, there's the birds, and the down below is the flame of the unknown martyr. I don't know where it's gone. Okay, maybe. So you can see the kind of spaces which are now, though it has many elements learned from tradition, but really it's very, as I see it, very modern concept and carried through to both structurally and as elements of design in a very important, in a very consistent manner. So the theme to that there is a change happening from one space to the other is carried through in this project. You can see now how already filled with people. Now these are the galleries. These are not yet finished, but you can see I had almost the height of galleries like in the British Museum, if you like, or most Renaissance galleries of Venice have the same height. And I introduced there just a little bit of natural light, so if the interior designers want to use it, they can. This is the structure of some of the domes from inside. There are, though the 2 major domes are with concrete shell structure, but these are the ones which are above on the roof. These are steel elements, and you can see built very fast and quickly. Some of the quick views. Now this part is really not finished, but you can see the memorial. I think this distorts the image a little bit. It elongates. I don't know. It's a bit better here. You can see the white marble. I don't know the idea of whether the sacred or something reverential comes through or not. These are the kind of things I've often talked about, and I'm not going to talk about here because it takes too long a time, the idea of rasa, that each building should have its own ambience and flavor. So I think there's very much a part of the Indian aesthetic theories from Dr. Kumaraswamy. And I hope if you have an aesthetics part of your lectures, these are some of the interior spaces. You can see the elements inside. I wanted a little bit of the dynamic values to be part of this section I'm just showing of the structure. And so that's how the whole thing has been worked out. It would be very difficult for me to carry on with other works, so I sort of conclude with that. But more than anything else, what I would like is that for students who have passed today, that your learning experience is by seeing the building. That has been my approach. And even till yesterday I came back to see the Sanchi Stupa and these wonderful caves which you have been with, and what you've done from there when you're watching them, what you imagine can be done, taking that inspiration. With that, I'd like to thank you, the faculty members and the students and the family members. Thank you very much.